Well, good morning, and hams to you.
Yeah, good morning, everybody.
It is a wintry morning out there.
A little brisk with the wind out of the west this morning. So good news is it was cold for 2, and now it warmed up a little bit. So time to get the clothes rearranged and get back on the road.
If you're on Highway
Find
10,
some
go
sunshine
slow.
and blue sky somewhere.
Highway 10 was very tricky between Hawley and Dilworth.
Well, it gets blown across, and it's like another piece of ice skating rink,
But you know what? Those fences do make a difference, I have to admit.
There's some pockets on 10 that's excellent.
They make a difference, I have to admit.
I agree.
Hey, shout out to Bronco. Just like typical, Alligator Arms didn't reach over and grab his wallet for breakfast on Tuesday. So, Bronco, Fighting Sioux, good morning to you.
Speaking of those Broncos, they rolled right over Miami of Ohio. Wow.
They are going to be a team to beat, I
And
think.
how about that 0-0 score? When was the last time we saw a 0-0 score?
Been a while.
Yeah.
To our show sponsor, Valley Imports, presenting sponsor. The hockey guys are brought to you by Valley Imports and Valley Pre-Owned, your best price leader in the region. Find your next vehicle at valleyimports.com. So, yes, a 0-0 hockey game, and then there'll be all kinds of fun things here, but we'll have Coach Nightingale coming on here with us in our next segment. We'll kind of save all that banter for later. But, hey, the good news is that 0-0 score was the same as the North Dakota game. They had a 0 on the scoreboard as well last night. So sitting back watching, seeing what happens in the pairwise.
So that's a tie then, right?
By not having a game.
0-0 tie?
I would say 0-0 is a straight-up tie.
I've not seen that, so I'm just kind of...
That's a good question. The
on-
old math, it's a tie.
and based on
Based on
that conference, it could be 0 points. It could be 1-1. I don't know what their I don't know what their answer is for a 0-0 game.
Yeah, we may need to get a little information there. That's a new one.
Well, other than that, there's maybe a not a surprise anymore, and that is the desert seems to be a little warm for teams to go in there and play.
Yeah. How about
Arizona
Duluth?
State.
How about Duluth? Good for Scotty. Good for Coach Sandelin.
How about BC and BU 6-2? What do you think of that score?
I wasn't surprised by that, actually. I think that I kind of figured that was going to happen.
Now that the World Juniors have settled out,
Yep.
I think there's some players now that may be going back to play to see how they can get to the NHL
Yep.
as soon as the college season is done.
In Providence, UMass was a little, that surprised me a little bit. I thought Providence would probably win, but that came up as a tie, too. A lot of ties last night, actually.
There were a few, and some of them got decided in overtime, and a few of them are, as you mentioned, left kind of just hanging as a tie.
Yeah.
I watched St. Cloud against Omaha last night, and I quit watching it when St. Cloud was up 3-2.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden this morning I looked at the scores and go, wow, that shifted.
See? Never
It's never over till it's over.
Never leave the game early.
I never do. That's the thing. I had seen people like 3 minutes to go and it's 2-1 or something. I'm going, where are you people going? I can't do that. I got to stay right there. Maybe it's because I got the ticket. I got to get my money's worth, right?
Yeah. We got to get hasty on. I see Michigan beat them 4-3, but they're still competitive.
Which game are you looking at?
Michigan, Wisconsin.
I got Wisconsin
4-3.
5-4.
Do you?
Yeah. Wisconsin 5-4 as well. That's what I was wondering which day you're looking at. So,
Well, I guess my computer thing here is wrong.
Mine's done
says
it where
4-3 final.
I've had it where it hadn't shifted on my computer for whatever reason.
That may be what I'm dealing with. It hasn't. Maybe it's the
Wisconsin moved into 15 in the pairwise.
Okay.
With the win over I think it was a 12 Michigan, but now 15 and 13 are showing up on my side.
He's such a good coach. I like him.
Getting back to Duluth, Denver, I always think when you're number one, Denver's got that on their bullet on them, we're a target, I guess. And,
are they number one, though?
Well, not anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I mean, the last year's team, they're the team.
Oh, yeah. Defending champs.
They won the last championship, so they would be the team to beat.
Defending national.
And Cornell over Harvard, probably not a surprise, but the surprise there is Cornell playing a 42, but sitting at 19. So all of a sudden, Cornell is kind of knocking on that pairwise ranking system that I'm still not willing to go in and try to decipher and figure out.
Yeah. I'm with you. It gets a little it's hard for me to wrap my head around that sometimes.
And Augustana continues to represent well.
Yeah.
Now 14-7 in the season, so they actually
Absolutely.
in overtime got by Bowling Green.
But I keep going back to Arizona State. That's the hot ticket. Those guys, they're a good team, and they're dangerous to play.
I just spent a little time in Phoenix, and the chatter in Phoenix is everybody wants to come to the regional in Fargo, and they want to see Arizona in Fargo because they don't want to travel to Toledo, Ohio.
I would agree with that. That'd be fun. I mean, I'll brag about the Shields Arena. What a perfect venue. It's packed in there. I don't know. Was it hold 6,000? I don't even know.
Yeah.
But it's packed in there.
It reminds me of a little bit of the old Winter Sports Center, but not. There isn't. There's a lot of echo in there. Is the only thing, but it's a great venue.
It's a great venue. I love it. I love it there for high school state hockey too, because it's, the Ralph's the Ralph, but sometimes too big is too big. Sometimes,
Yep.
And then of course we have to maybe visit a little bit about. We continue to hear a lot of chatter because everybody gets to be a skeptic when your team's not in first place in the NCHC. So the social media chatter continues. So coaching's interesting. Maybe something I have to throw at Coach Nightingale is that in most world, if somebody goes out and takes somebody, steals them away from another company, you would call that poaching. So what's going to happen in the world of coaching here as we kind of wind out of this so-called terrorized chaos and start to see where that goes, right? That's front and center in the news.
In the business world, there's no compete clauses. Will that ever come about in coaching? I don't know. I don't want to see that because this is America, land of the free. And you just, I think it's a merit-based system. I mean, if you're successful, somebody wants you, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I hear what you're saying though, and yeah.
My brother-in-law is in the car business world. He works for Tempe Toyota. I think they're the second largest Toyota dealership
Tippy Toyota. What a great name.
Tempe.
Oh, I thought you said Tippy.
No, Tempe. But anyways.
I like Tippy better.
I think the second largest Toyota dealership other than L.A., right?
Yeah.
But my brother-in-law, he's a big wig there, and they pickpocket all the time. You don't even give 2-week notice. When they pick a salesman or saleswoman from another place, they just take them next day.
Wow.
No 2-week notice because they're getting the best of the best, right?
Right.
So getting back to pairing it back to the hockey world, coaching world, or whatever, you got to get the best. And I used to tell guys that I used to hire whatever. I feel bad. I go, I don't want to leave or whatever. I go, if Bradbury hires me as an assistant tomorrow at UND, I won't remember your name.
Right.
You got to take care of yourself, your family.
Right. Right. And I think that's the important point. It's
the way it is.
So I might ask a question, what's going on in Denver then?
Yeah, that would be a good question.
Well, yeah, they come back. You got the best coach ever. You got, what did they have, 3 players that played on that team?
Mm-hmm.
So they came back. I don't know. I made some notes about this, that we can talk not now because we have our guests coming on, but I would like, team chemistry, more to winning than just talent. This sounds terrible, but
you got to have the room. There's no question.
You've got to have the room. Great point, Doc.
And I want to ask him about that. What makes them so successful this year? Because they're not that much different than last year. But man,
I guess my point to Denver is the chatter of Dave Carl having such success beginning to wear on the people there, and him not. Is he?
Well, I don't know.
Somebody recruiting him? Is he going to the NHL?
But
Is he going to the NHL?
You guys know you go through slumps.
But at some point, he needs to make a statement. I'm either staying in college hockey, or he may again have a lot of questions surrounding him for the rest of the year. So it is what it is. But we'll be back here on the Hockey Guys with Coach Nightingale. Our first intermission is sponsored by Ham's Beer. Ham's is still brewed in that true family tradition using the purest water and the choicest barley, grain, and hops. So we'll be back here on the Hockey Guys. Welcome back. Dr. Phil, I'll let you introduce our next guest.
Hey, with pleasure. Speaking of coming for the fun and stay for the hockey, how about last night in East Lansing, Michigan? Michigan State rolled up on our favorite Gophers.
Be careful, little M fans. This isn't me speaking.
Yeah. But it's just a great honor to welcome our next guest to the show, Adam Nightingale. I've known Adam for several years. We crossed paths at the National Team Development Program in Plymouth, and he has now moved on to Michigan State, and he has the Spartans on a roll. Welcome, Coach.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Thanks for having me. Hope all's well.
Oh, all is great. Now that we have you on the radio, everything's really good. But tell us a little bit about the Sparties. I mean, you guys are doing well. You had a big game last night against the Gophers, and you handled them pretty well. Tell us a little bit about about the Spartans and the composition that you guys have with your team. You seem like you've got a really decent team, a team that plays for each other.
Yeah, no doubt. We're fortunate for the depth we have on our team. I think we had 17 guys return from our team last year coming in. We're the youngest team in our conference this year. We were, I think, maybe fourth youngest in the country. So we knew coming in we got a lot of room to grow, which is exciting. And but I think you're right. That's what I'm thankful for is we got a group of guys that have bought into playing team hockey, and we're certainly not perfect, and we've still got a lot to work on. But we have found a way to be pretty consistent this year. I look at our our start, we won our first two games and we lost to BC, beat at home, then we beat BC the next night. I think we went on to win 11 in a row. Then we lost to Wisconsin. I think we went 10 games without losing in regulation. And our guys have shown a consistency to them and a hunger to get better, and feel like we still have a lot to prove as a group.
Oh, I think you're doing a great job. What is the state of the Big Ten? What do you see as far as how this may play out a little bit over the next month? Because this will be the big push for this month.
Yeah, I mean it's with a conference of 7 teams in it, there really is no bottom. And I know it's sometimes teams got to finish at the bottom, but anybody can beat anybody. You look at the depth of talent. There's a lot of young talent in our conference, and if the tournament started today, we'd have 4 teams in, with the 5th one knocking on it out of 7. And I think you look at it, for most of the year, we've had 4 of the 7 ranked in the top 10. And so, it's a blessing to play in a conference like this, because it really, really forces you to improve and pushes not only your players individually, but us as a team.
Absolutely.
Coach, when I look at your roster, I've got a little Towns in here. And I say that with a little bit of humor as your assistant coach, Mike Towns. It looks to me like you've kept him on the road traveling. When you look at your roster, you are as dyslexic as any team in college hockey.
Yeah. We, that's our job, is to go out and find the best players we can. And, obviously we'd love to have a bunch of kids from Michigan, but if, we got to put together the best roster we can. And when we took over, we were in a program that, we needed to get better, and we needed to show that we were improving. So, we were getting kids from all over. And the nice thing with, I think even you look at recruiting now, and with the internet and all this, there's, it's so much more global. I think for years you would never see a kid from Chicago go out to play at BU or BC, and that's common now. Or kids from Minnesota come to Michigan State. It's common, because I think they have more access to it. They can see it, and there's so many good players out there, and it's super competitive. And like I said, our guys' job is to make sure we go out and get not only the best players, but the right players that fit how we want to do things.
Well, in California too. I mean, it's become nationwide. It seems like too. And I just want to turn the table just a little bit, but because I'm I'm so familiar with your goaltender, Trey Augustine, and I think he really is, just an excellent goaltender and has a very bright future. Give us just a couple minutes on Trey, because I think he's a really important backstop for the Spartans.
Big time. That's the old adage, show me good coach and I'll show you a good goalie, and that's definitely the case here.
Phil, are you a goalie, Phil?
Yes, I love goalies.
Yeah. But I've known Trey a long time. I've known him a long time. When I was coaching the national team, I had the 2004 birth year, so it was like Cooley and Nazar and Howard and Stram, all these guys. And
what a great team.
And so, it was an awesome group of kids to have him for 2 years. I was super fortunate. But Trey was an 05, so he was aspiring to play on the national team. He was playing for Honeybake, so he'd come and practice with our team. And, his professionalism, his poise, just a great kid, great family, really stood out right off the bat. And, we ended up adding him to our World Under-18. He was our starting goalie that 2 years from then. He moved up and played great for us. And I ended up getting a job. We lost the gold medal game, and right after the game, the AD here called me and offered me the job. And I remember I landed, and I was driving to East Lansing, and I got a call from his agent that said, "Hey, what do you think of Trey?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I think he's a great goalie." He's like, "Well, what do you think of him for Michigan State?" I was like, "Oh, that would be awesome." At the time, he was committed to Michigan, but he had a change of heart, and he went and looked at it. He could have went anywhere, and I give Trey a ton of credit because when he came to us, we took over a program that had lost 16 games in a row to finish the season, and for a goalie to sign up for that of his pedigree, and so many kids are chasing, I got to play on the super team instead of being the guy that turns it, and Trey's definitely a huge piece of why our program's headed in the right direction. He plays with big-time poise. He's got a calming presence. He's competitive, and he's zero maintenance. I don't even know he's on the team hardly. Last year he got a skate sharpened one time. So,
I never sharpened mine because I could glide better. I wasn't so much digging down.
We never on your skates. Yeah. It's easy to slide around, right, Doc?
But the one thing, I'll give you a little inside story. I sat next to his mother on the way back from Moncton, and you're the reason that he kind of switched. I mean, she said he really felt comfortable with you, and he felt that was the best way to go. But I'll tell you what, I'm not sure that anybody has achieved what he has, because he has won 3 World Junior gold medals, and I'm not sure anybody. I got to go back and look at USA Hockey. I'm not sure anybody's done that, because he won a bronze with us in Moncton, and he's won 2 golds.
Yeah, I think he's got the all-time most wins in USA Hockey history in the World Junior Tournament. To be the starter in 3, I mean, you think of the age of his first year doing that, it's pretty amazing. Then, he went over to actually play in the men's Worlds too, and got in there and did a heck of a job. And what I like about Trey is none of that ever gets to his head. He's down to earth. He's kind of what we like to think Spartans are about. They're about the team. They're low maintenance. They're humble, and again, fortunate we have them.
Well, you're doing a great job, and that's
and he's a sophomore.
What's that?
He's only a sophomore.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I know.
He's only 19. So
he's just
last year. Yeah.
And the thing about goalies, and I don't know if you agree, but the thing about goalies is they mature later, ability-wise. Sure. It always seems like they'll go into the AHL for a couple of years, and then boom,
we're going to hold that
mid-20s before they reach the NHL.
We're going to hold that against you, Doc, till you mature later.
That's all right.
Yeah. Got a chance, Doc.
I do.
Hey, Coach, this is Wilson. I'm gonna flip gears a little bit. Any dirt on Dr. Phil? We gotta listen. We gotta do the goalie thing every week. Got any dirt on him?
This is a family show, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah, we're not spitting chicklets here, but we're trying to get there.
I think you can keep the language clean enough for the family.
No, Doc's great. I mean, I obviously really enjoyed getting to know him, and you can tell too when you're around the guys, they can sniff out people that are genuine pretty quick, and I think that's what all the players, right away, and the staff is. Doc's got a heart of gold, and fortunate that he spends time helping out USA Hockey.
Yeah, I'm glad to do it.
That's why we recruited him onto the hockey guys, because some of our reputations may not have mirrored Dr. Phil.
Well, I laughed because I had a trainer that got a bench penalty, and yelling at the officials, and I look at him going, seriously, I don't need your help.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. That's great.
So as you take a look at everything that's going on, and we've asked a few coaches, as we look at the ability to now have the Canadian League and the American college hockey system basically in the same place, if that makes sense, where do you see that with what your position is, sitting in a spot? Michigan State obviously pretty close to having a lot of visibility. So, Coach, where do you see the whole thing going here as we move forward?
Yeah, I mean, it's I think initially it's going to be a shock to everybody, right? And it is, as far as I just think of the American-born player, right? As now you're adding 1,600 more players to the pool between the Dove and the O and the Q, and a lot of those are Canadian players. But I do think USA Hockey's done a great job, and and it'll find its level, and we'll continue to have great American-born players play college hockey. And our job is to go after the best players, and wherever they're at, we got to make sure we're on them and make sure we get them.
All right. No, I think USA Hockey has done a fabulous job, and a lot of that is attributed to you guys, with the National Team Development Program to bring those elite players along and to give them the guidance that they need. Hey, Coach, it's been awesome. We're running a little short here. We've got a hard break coming up, but good luck tonight against the Gophers. Let's get a sweep, and let's chat again down the line.
Coach, thanks for being on Hockey Guys.
Yeah, thanks,
you bet.
Coach.
Thank you.
Sure, thank you. Yep.
And we'll be back here on the Hockey Guys, our intermission sponsors, Citywide Electric, for anything on the design, repair, and installation of any home or business electrical project. Reach out to citywideenergicnd.com. We'll be back for our next period after the intermission.
Like I say.
this is a classic. Mississippi Queen.
Good job, Jeff.
Yeah, absolutely. Finally.
Jeff, now that we know you're listening, hey, nice job on getting Addison the info last night.
I'm not going to lie, Jeff. It's the first time I'm seeing Addison smile.
You know, Jeff, you can call in. I've figured that out. You
Yeah,
just
we
call
want-
Addison. It's not a problem. It's not hard.
293-9000, Jeff Bradall.
701-293-9000, and what a lead-in. We
Yeah.
actually are operating. Hey, thanks again to our presenting sponsor, Valley Imports. Valley Imports and Valley Pre-Owned, your best price leader in the region. Find your next vehicle at valleyimports.com. Also need to give a shout-out Fargo Force, Bagan Strindon, Dakota Refrigeration, Weltman's Tire Service, Carpet World, Halstonson, Askew Wealth Management, and Jeff's favorite place, the Red Pepper.
Yeah, that's all of our favorite
So
places. I think.
thanks for
It's
being
the
part of the
sauce.
hockey guys.
Yeah.
It's the white sauce.
We were talking during the intermission. You mentioned a few people to reach out to, and I kind of smiled and said, "Hey, Doug Smail, let's do an age check. How old do you think Smaler is?"
Smaler would be 70.
Holy smokes!
You know,
He's older than I am.
I would agree with you because when I went to UND, I came in as a 17-year-old freshman. He was a few years older than me.
But he was at North Dakota in '80. That was his
Yes.
last year. So now
But he was an older
yeah. But you want to
recruit.
reevaluate because you're not too far off.
68,
7.
67.
Yeah, that's about
It's
right.
my age then.
Because I was,
See, I thought he was a little older.
I lived with Mel Donnelly, and he was a few
Oh,
years
sure.
older too. So
He will turn 68 in September. But yeah.
Okay.
because they were the same age group.
Mel was a good goaltender. He and remember Pete Wasilovich
Yeah,
from Grand Rapids.
yeah, they were. You know, and then
Was Wasilovich from Grand Rapids, or was he from
International Falls.
a little town just a little bit east of there, Greenway? Wasn't he a Greenway goalie?
I thought he was Grand. Well,
Wasn't he?
that's a
Coleraine?
good question.
I'm not sure.
I'll
I
have to go
thought
look
he was
that up.
Grand
but
Rapids.
Anyway, we were talking.
Let's
We'll
find
maybe
out.
try to get Dougie Smail on next Saturday and
That'd
kinda
be awesome.
ask him a question about
Yeah.
how is Colorado hockey, because when you
Yeah.
start looking, we just said to Coach Nightingale, when you start looking at college hockey and you look at rosters, it used to be there's the Minnesota roster, there's the Michigan roster, there's the
Massachusetts.
right?
Yeah. The 3 M's.
And now when you look, it is interesting. These coaches are all pretty active.
Yep.
They're out everywhere.
Well, you
they're
look at
finding
Slavin
players.
and the Schwartzes. They kind of put, CC. Mark Stewart, the assistant at Edmonton.
UCHL still the big feeder, but
Yep.
the NA is still in there. You've got the Saskatchewan, the BC leagues. So there's a lot of activity.
ACHA.
But I remember
I got to go up to Bozeman and watch one of those Montana State games and tell you what's going on.
But I remember a few years ago, I was with John Erickson. We were in Norway, and I'll brag about it a little bit. But I remember they had a pro team there. But they had in their coach's office, they had a stream of things that they kept going across, just like the stock market, of people that were injured, trade, quitting, or whatever. It was kept up to date, just kept going. I don't know who did that, the computer world, but it was pretty fascinating. And
The hockey ticker.
but there's no secrets out there with the hockey world. In the olden days, people be locked in. Like I'll pick on Woog, with the Gophers. He had Minnesota boys, right? He locked into that population, and then I think it was Denver started hitting up the European boys. And it's just worldly now, where they're networked, they're moving and grooving and going.
And to answer your question, Wasilovich was I Falls.
Bill,
That was the
was that what's his name?
International
Bill,
Falls.
no Pete
Bill Stankoven. I'm thinking of.
Stankoven. Stanky was a Canadian.
Yeah,
He was from Toronto. No, he was from Burnaby, British Columbia.
yeah. I'm not sure because I know it was Bill Stankoven.
Because he's a dentist.
Mel
He's a dentist
Donnelly,
now.
Fort Francis boy.
Yeah.
And they had a good bunch. And then, they're great goalies. And then they bring in Bob Iabucci.
Right.
How old's he now? Because he was an older player too.
Yes, he was. Went and played for the Minnesota North Stars.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was good. I remember Wasilovich because he was kind of that first generation of butterfly goalie in high school in Minnesota, and he made it to the state tournament and had a big splash in the paper. I remember, and I went, I want to be like that.
He was a whole 5'9". So a butterfly
Yeah.
goalie at 5'9" is
Yeah.
different than a Patrick Waugh butterfly at 6'4".
He was really athletic. I mean, his catching glove was just lightning fast. I remember watching him.
I laugh when Mel Donnelly, we in our apartment, we sit and watch Taylor go over. We have his shorts on, a T-shirt. purple marks like fresh black eyes all over. I go,
well, back then, I'll tell you that because that was my era. Back then, all it was that quilted fabric, like what I'm wearing today.
yeah,
shirt.
maybe a little thinner.
There wasn't any of that leather, any of that plastic, any of that other stuff that would help. It was all
the
just...
reason you wore black sticky tape is when you hook somebody, they got to have it embedded in their arm. That's the way the game used to be played. These poor kids today.
Or between their legs, which was not an uncommon spot.
For those of you out there listening, 701-293-9000. I'm going to open up this thing and go where everybody wants it to go because some people might say that Mr. Wilson forces me to be controversial. So I'll just do that.
I force you to do that.
Can somebody call in and say exactly, because the chirpers out there, explain to us in college hockey, why is it different than it is any other level when it comes to coaching? Why does everybody think that if you have a development team that your coach should be gone? Explain that to us if you can call in 701-293-9000. Specifically talking about North Dakota.
Maybe you have to deal with parents more.
I don't know. I've been making notes about, why is a team talented and you're not winning? You talked about you said it about that locker room. I'll pick on Toronto last year, and I think, Eddie, you said it too. When captains arguing with guys on the bench, you lost control.
Absolutely.
And I was angry because, I tried to get in that Toronto corner, and pull them in the Stanley Cup. But they had lost control. Your captain's chirping to your teammate, and I go, unacceptable.
But don't you think too? I mean, when we had our favorite scout on a couple weeks ago, I mean, it's really hard to determine the talent level of a kid that's on the ice at age 16. How is he going to elevate his game so that he'll be ready for us at the college level at 18, 19? I mean, I'm always amazed how they do, because I'll sit there and watch a game and go, oh, yeah, he skates really well. He does this, he does that. And then he'll go, yeah, but he doesn't do this. And I go, oh, yeah, you're right.
But this.
It's hard.
They've now had enough contacts with that player to try to figure out what is his body mass.
Well, and now
where are his growth plates?
Yep.
What is his projected height? What is the projected weight?
Well, and I think Knighty said that too. He said now with the internet, it's a whole different game. I mean, you can see those kids all the time, or you can see them back and see how they've progressed, and you catch them. It's tough.
And a lot of coaches with their own internal arrogance, I'll take that problem child. You know what I mean? If it's in the helmet, right?
Did you have any problem children?
I had many of them. Are we talking about my daughter?
No names here, no names. But
my players. No, I did, and then people go, why do you ever? I go, because a guy can put in 3 goals. Yeah. And how do you train them to be a better team player, to work together? And I've always said this, and I'll say it at the pro level. You'd get guys, I won't mention names of players that are getting 50 goals in the NHL, they get traded. And I used to say this even in my world as administrator. I go, hey, Wills, you want the science teacher? I go, you don't trade Gretzky. Why are you getting rid of this science teacher in your building to give that science teacher to me, right? Same with pro players. There's guys that moved around. I won't mention any names, maybe Dean or Cicerelli, where these guys are good players, but they're moving. Yeah. They're a problem child in that locker room. They stirring it doesn't, the one rotten apple, 100%. Yeah. Because I'd say, you know what, God, if we just get rid of this one guy, and I go, we need him. And my level's different because I'm dealt a hand and I got to play it.
But how does that work then? Because you kind of look the other way a little bit. What do the players think then? Like, geez, he's letting this guy play and he's such an idiot. And, does it demoralize the rest of the room? I mean, that's a tight line to walk, I would think.
I always got to be careful because I don't want anybody listening to join the dots, right? But I had a few people going, and then other players that quit on me, and then other players come in and go, what, it's about time. We don't need them.
Yeah, well, there you go. I mean, give me a team that plays for each other and plays for the guy next to him in the stall, as opposed to a bunch of elite level players that think they're the greatest gift to the hockey world, and they show that. So.
Or you know what, Coach, take your time getting in the locker room. We got to take care of a little bit of business, and I'm not talking hugs, right? Because I had guys, my day we jack guys up.
Yeah,
talking about back in the day, I actually sitting down and. Gritzy came in. Coach Gino Grasperini walked in and actually recognized me. So I was thinking, holy smokes, just like when I was sitting on the bench there, I was sitting on a chair, and he says, hey, you're not up.
And he said that a lot, right?
Well,
You're not up yet. Yeah.
but I've had in practice in times where, my coach said, and I'm a Canadian boy, so I'll get on that soapbox. Guys are scuffling, dropping the gloves in practice, and no, you don't want anybody to get hurt, but I'd tell my assistants, wait a little bit.
Well, and now it's so different too, because the line to quick exit and go somewhere else is easier now. I mean, somebody doesn't get along, this doesn't like me, I'm out of here. There's just too much of that.
I'm going to word it different. I don't think it's anything about the players not getting along. Again, I keep
Probably
sharing
right.
with it, and I just spent some time, and it's kind of fun here, right? Coaches could lie to a player and lock him in for 4 years.
Yeah,
True.
What's happened to the ability for a coach to lie to somebody and lock him in for 4 years?
the portal.
It's gone,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Or it
option-
didn't work out.
the option of the player now, I think, puts the onus on the coach and the assistants when you're looking at that 16-year-old.
Yep.
I'm going to say this out loud. If you want to change a hockey player who's 16, you will suffer a very slow agony because you cannot change humans. You can modify behavior. If you're watching a 16-year-old and think you can change that game, I would suggest to you can change the game shortly, but long-term you can't.
Yeah, I think you're probably a lot of truth there.
So if you get in at 18 and the coach is trying to change you because he loved you as a 16-year-old and how you played, and then tries to have you play a different style to fit what he has for the team that you're on, that's where you see the stress on the coach. And the
So
player.
there's the question. Do you get the player so he fits your style, or do you get the player because
of the team.
of the team?
And your team changes now every year, so that's
Right.
a really tough place for a coach
Right.
to be in. So, Brad Berry, I'm trying to cover your back, bud. So,
No, let's follow
but
this
here
up.
it
This
is.
is
We've
good
got
talk.
Gateway
Yeah, I like
Chevrolet,
that,
our period
yeah.
intermission sponsor. Gateway Chevrolet, where you can save big on a Chevy Silverado, Equinox, or Blazer. Go online at fargochevrolet.com. We'll be back.
God, we're going to start having to pay Lauren to be. We got him at Munich all the time, but he loves hams, though. He loves hams.
Every town has a geezer.
Well,
Hey, thank you again to Valley Imports, our presenting sponsor. And we have a caller, I believe, on the line. So, David, welcome to the Hockey Guys.
Yeah, good morning, guys. I just want to give you guys a big hoorah. I think the news you give out and the scores and stats and all that is so great. And also, I just want to get more people involved in the listening area to listen to you guys. We don't have a station like this, really, and I'm really proud of what you guys are doing. One other thing, the team that I saw that had the best response to their coach was 2006. I believe it was the Fargo South Bruins. And I'll tell you, those guys, every game, every trip, were concentrating. There was no goofing around, nothing. That coach had them going. And when they won that state title, I've never seen a coach smile like he did when he came off. Thank you. You guys are great. Have a good day.
Thanks,
Hey,
Mr.
David.
Wilson.
Holy smokes.
God, was that a relative or something? Man? Oh my gosh! God, it cost me a lot of. That cost me $50 to get that guy to talk. Holy man! But
we're not giving out names, but he did say it's
that's
David.
right.
Oh, hey,
Yeah, David.
thanks for listening.
Yeah,
to,
we
to
appreciate the
David.
comment.
We
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Thanks
Yeah,
for calling in.
caught me off guard. I totally appreciate it. Thank you.
We try to fill a void here.
Good players make you look. Good players make you look good. And that year, I'm going to brag about it, is because we beat Moorhead. They're number 2 in Minnesota, and I wanted to play Jefferson to see if we could be number 1 in both states, but we never.
Did you win
got
the state title with 2006?
Yeah.
Hold on,
They're
Wilson.
pretty darn.
We might get a call from another Dave if you keep bragging
Oh,
about being
yeah.
Moorhead.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
we don't have enough time for that.
Well, we can throw out a shout out to Moorhead High School this year. 19 wins in a row. Now they're the real deal. If you haven't seen a crazy good hockey team, go see
Just
them.
want them to get over the hump, though.
I want them to
know,
win it all.
And Coach Nightingale has an 2026 recruit there, which is Brooks Cullen from Moorhead.
Oh,
So
yeah,
some
that's
kind
right.
of stake
That's
in there.
right. Well,
So
that's
they're,
appreciate
they're
that.
a
We
fun.
didn't reach
good,
out on that one.
I watched them the other
I
day.
wish we could get. I hope we can get Michigan State up to Grand Forks. I mean, we need to get them to play.
Well, I tell you what, I watched Moorhead High School, and it was like a college team. Whoa, they can cycle. They're dangerous, well coached. You know, Hammerman does a great job. He's got a great staff, and no, they were fun to call. I went, wow, you know, we did the game on WDAY, and I said, doggone it, it looked like a junior college team. They were good.
So where do you see things happening here? It's kind of fun because we do have a couple of more what we call 2-game series. So obviously I have to think Denver needs to bounce back. Obviously the little M needs to bounce back. The big M needs to bounce back. If they're going to keep themselves, as Coach Nightingale mentioned, 4-5 knocking on the door.
Yeah.
And then if you take a look at BU, Boston College took care of them pretty easy. Got to believe Boston University has to start trying to figure out some wins against good teams because they haven't done that.
And North Dakota does too. North Dakota's got to get on a run. I mean, if they want to get into the tournament, unless they can make a significant run here, and that's next month, you know, they're going to be outside looking in, and they're going to have to win the tournament, the NCAC tournament to get in.
So it's going to get to be an interesting because I think we're seeing some very simple parallels, right? So right now the power of college hockey, it looks like it's in the Midwest.
Yep.
Between the Big Ten and the
CC's
NCHC.
kind of flaming out a little bit, unfortunately.
They
I
are,
thought
you
they were
know.
going to make a good run this year,
But it's a time of year now. It's that sense of urgency.
oh yeah,
You
and
know what I
CC's
mean?
coming to town in 2 weeks,
Yeah.
so that'll be a great series.
You know,
When's the
and-
last season St. Cloud State was not above 500?
Right.
So
Well, and Duluth too.
Don't know what the chatter is for the family, but some of the people are focused on a coach with a winning record. You might want to focus on a coach with a losing record.
Yeah.
Well, I watched the game last night a little bit, you know, with St. Cloud and Omaha, you know, and it wasn't the wow factor. You know, it's going up and down, you know, and at that time St. Cloud was up 3-2 and I changed the channel, but it didn't wow me to stay.
Well, it's kind of grinder season now, you know.
to
It's
stay and
like
watch it.
you're going to grind them out.
Stay healthy.
Yep, and that's the other thing. We don't know the health of a lot of these teams, and is that a factor? And
You know, and we talk about the next man up, you know, and sometimes that's a big jump. And I'll pick on goaltending, especially a big jump with goalies. You know, you got the one of the top goalies in the league, and all of a sudden you go to number 2.
Well, and remember, Stacy doesn't like that phrase, next man up. No, the person needs to be focused and ready to go.
And I agree with her on that.
And I think I think she's right. It's
well, the
like,
Bison always say that for
Oh,
football,
I know,
and I just
know.
go, next man up. We got more depth than anybody, and they're waiting to go, and who knows?
Yeah.
So back to our discussion that we kind of said we kind of
for sure.
How a player and a coach fit today. I think I think the coaches are all struggling to figure out.
Well, there's so much outside interference now, I think, between.
I'll go back and tell a great story because it's kind of fun. But a coach says, I think this person has to learn how to play on this side of the puck. That team, as I watch it, can't score goals, and the person that they didn't want is scoring goals for another team, and he's got to be saying to himself, I guess maybe I shouldn't have been so critical on fitting my game. I should have been looking for a goal scorer.
Well, interesting you bring that up because last night I was watching the Dallas game, and Leah Hextall had an interview with the coach from Vegas, and he said when he took over, he pulled Jack Eichel into his office and said, Jack, I need you to play a 200-foot game. And he goes, Coach, I can do that. What happens? They win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
I mean, it was interesting that she brought that up. I went, guys can adapt their game.
But here's my question. For Eichel, what's a 200-foot game? Is that a 160 or 170?
No,
because 80% is capacity.
Yeah.
So a 200-foot game for Jack Eichel is 160. Still doesn't come inside the blue line.
No, but at least he's back checking.
The coach realized that he was not coming inside the red line. So if I say 200, he gets 160. If I tell him 100, I get.
And you
80.
might be right. Yeah,
you understand, right?
Yeah.
So it's how does the player see what that coach says to him is the difference. But they also, I believe, put Eichel with some guys that understood how Eichel played a 200-foot game.
Right.
I think of different things in my career. I get recruited by Gene Murphy. He leaves.
Right.
And I won't
broke my heart
Because of recruiting you.
No.
It might have been a factor, but no.
Money.
But money went to Cal State
Fullerton. Yep.
But my point is that I got teary-eyed because he liked me.
Yeah.
And then the new person takes over and he brings in his boys. And he wants to change things up that were more conducive to their abilities and talents than maybe mine. But so be it. But anyways, you get a coach, and sometimes there's just players you fall in love with. I just like that kid. He grinds it out. He does what I want him to do.
Speaking of Murph, bless his soul, rest in peace. He was my favorite coach. And when I had to go into PT school and they wouldn't let me play football at the same time, he said, you know what? I want you to just keep your scholarship for your junior year. I mean, that was huge. That was like.
Well, thanks for listening to the hockey guys. We appreciate another Saturday with now snowflakes in the air.
Yeah, lots of them.
The roads are slippery.
The snow started to come down, so we appreciate our sponsor, Valley Imports, Hams Beer, Citywide Electric, Gateway Chev, and we'll be back next week here on the Hockey Guys.